and welcome to the Healthy Half Hour podcast. We are your hosts, Richard and Karen Inslee.
The Healthy Half Hour podcast is your resource for all things healthy, and we will be discussing how to make nutrition, fitness and lifestyle choices work for you.
We will be sharing our own personal insights along with research gathered from working in the health and fitness industry for the past 10 years.
Our show is brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, which can be found at 7dayshred.com, and please feel free to visit our podcast website, which can be found at healthyhalfhourpodcast.com.
And now on to today's show.
We're back, and it seems like forever since we were actually doing this.
It has been forever.
Has it?
Yeah. Oh. It's beginning December, and we've been doing some renos in the house, and yeah, I don't know, just busy. Everybody's like cramming personal training sessions in and other things before Christmas, and yeah, just been running around a lot, and just also with your new job and things you're doing with the school board now, it's trying to find us in the same space at the same time is half the problem. So, I mean, it's not that we haven't got a bit of time. It's just that we don't seem to share the time.
Yeah, not the same place at the same time. And obviously, I celebrated my birthday on Thursday, and Richard surprised me and took me away to Whiteshell Park, like Provincial Park.
It's just an area that Whiteshell is, yeah. And
I had no clue where we were going, so it was actually really nice.
Neither did I. That's what I got Google Maps for.
So you rented a cabin for 2 days, and we basically just like kicked back and a little bit off the radar, and it was just nice. We did some walking. The weather wasn't too bad. So, and it was a really nice little cabin with, like a kitchen area so that we could cater for ourselves. And you told me, okay, pack some clothes and pack some food, and couldn't tell me where we were going. So I really got a clue what to pack. And I threw a little bit of food into a bag, and we were self-sufficient for a couple of days. And today's podcast is about sugars and artificial sweeteners in particular. And talking about my birthday trip away, I actually picked up some, because obviously in the kitchen they got salt and pepper and some like sweeteners, and I actually picked up and saved it because I was just examining the packet.
We're sad like that. We examine packets.
So it's actually called Sugar Twin, and it's a calorie-free sweetener that apparently tastes like sugar. And it says on here, 1 packet sweetens like 2 teaspoons of sugar. So I kind of like looked on the back at the nutritional facts, and bearing in mind that sugar in itself has no nutritional value whatsoever.
From a vitamin and mineral point.
But the ingredients in this thing called Sugar Twin is dextrose, sodium cyclamate, silicon dioxide contains sodium cyclamate. And this is the bit that surprised me or was concerning. And after the ingredients, it said, take only on the advice of a physician.
Cool.
So
I'm going to have a coffee. I'll call my doctor.
Which I was like, oh, well, so can we not take this without phoning our doctor first? It's just really concerning.
Just people covering their asses. And just as an aside on that one, actually, calorie-free doesn't actually mean there's no calories in it. If something's got 0 calories in it, then it actually means there's actually no calories in it. But if it's calorie free, there's less than 5 calories, I think, or 4.9 calories, something like that, per serving. So the FDA, when they kind of came up with this fat-free, calorie-free thing, let the food companies off the hook a little bit by just saying you can, if it's free, then basically there's a small amount. I think it's half a gram of fat per serving and like below 4 calories of sugar per serving. So yeah, it's just as an aside. If it says 0, it should be 0. But if it's free doesn't mean 0.
Because the food manufacturers just manipulate the size of their serving size, don't they?
They can do it to make it free. I mean, you could actually buy a can of regular Pepsi or Coke, and if the serving size is small enough, you could actually call it sugar-free. So, I mean, it is open to manipulation by the food companies, but it was just kind of a get-out because I guess when they went to a lot of the low-calorie, low-sugar things, that they were complaining they couldn't get sugar completely out of everything. So I guess it was a get-out for them. But yeah, just as an aside, so free isn't 0.
And obviously, don't forget to ask your doctor if you can take it beforehand.
Yeah. So next time you're in Timmy's lineup, have your doctor on speed dial.
I should find the link to their website and actually put it in the show notes, maybe, because, yeah, it was just interesting. Okay, I've got to ask my doctor if I can put this in my coffee. Not that I have sugar in my coffee anyway, but so artificial sweeteners, and we're going to talk about artificial sweeteners and
more you than me.
And sugar. Oh, really?
Yeah, this is your thing.
Not really. I mean, I'm
building it up for you.
Oh, okay. Oh, crap. That means
I've got deflated.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got to act really good now. But people, a lot of the times, will actually opt for artificial sweeteners, low-calorie sweeteners, alternatives because they're on a weight loss diet. And there's actually no conclusive, studies anywhere, and I say conclusive studies anywhere, that actually supports that using artificial sweeteners, low-calorie sweeteners and alternatives actually does create weight loss. And it actually has the complete opposite effect. And I know that we've covered I think we've done a sugar.
We did one on sugar, yeah.
Yeah, we did one on sugar, but just if you haven't... yeah. Just if you haven't listened to it, obviously why not? But one of the things with artificial sweeteners is that they can actually stimulate the same insulin response on the body. So when you eat sugar, insulin gets mobilized into action and does its job of bringing blood sugar down. But when you actually have artificial sweeteners, insulin's mobilized, the troops come out, and then they go, oh, hey, there's no actual sugar here. So what do I do now? So what it actually does, what the body does, is it goes into its ancillary mode of actually storing body fat. So when people opt for those sugar-free, low-calorie, artificially sweetened, especially sodas, people go to those a lot, don't they?
So that thing is, it's when it hits your tongue and there's a taste bud, or your brain or your eyes see what you're eating, it doesn't wait till it gets to your stomach until things start to happen. Gastric juices and things start to mobilize from the brain, which, like Karen says, you have something sweet, it tastes sweet, so your body's already in, okay mode, let's get on with this. Just in case. So one study I read a while ago was they got some athletes on treadmills. They ran these people literally until they couldn't run anymore. They gave some a drink of water, and they gave some a drink with as artificial sweetener in it, and then they started them running again. And the ones that had the water ran for, I can't remember exactly the time, another 10 minutes or so. And the ones they had the artificial sweetener, they basically ran, again, almost double the time of what the other guys did, because the body thought, oh, we're getting something sweet, so it will release more probably from the system to support that, because it thought something sweet was coming in to replace it. So again, the body can be smart, but you're trying to con it, but really sometimes it's a little bit smarter than what we realize.
And what happens with regard to the artificial sweeteners is that, regardless of what diet protocol that you're following, you will be exposed to natural sugars, sugar and artificial sweetener. And what happens is the body actually starts to get confused, because sometimes you're giving it sugar, sometimes...
I'm confused now. I've got to call my doctor after putting it on.
Yeah, you have. We've got to call him every single time. So we saw him a week ago. So, like you say, get him on speed dial.
Well,
So yeah, the body gets really confused so that when sometimes it's getting sugar, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's getting those artificial sweeteners. So it's actually getting confused and doesn't know how to handle it. So when the body's confused, what's happening is you get blood sugar dysregulation. You can have hypoglycemic episodes. You can become pre-diabetic, leading to type 2 diabetes, and you become insulin resistant. So, and basically when your body gets confused and doesn't know whether it's real sugar or some artificial imitation, those blood sugar dysregulations can have quite the physiological effect on the body. So again, one of the things is that if you're relying on artificial sweeteners quite a lot, and you're being exposed to regular sugar on occasions, then that confusion can lead to chronic levels of elevated cortisol. And we've covered this in the past multiple times, and I refer to it a lot because obviously chronically high levels of cortisol over a long period of time can create that chronic systemic inflammation, which again, like my corporate expertise is that of dealing with depression, and that it's that chronic systemic inflammation and depleted immune system health that leads to depression and mental health issues. And people who are on specific diets, even like a low carb diet, you're still going to get like natural sugars from some of the foods. So a lot of the people get frustrated and demoralized because they think they're doing everything correctly with regard to reducing sugars and certain foods from the diet and maybe going calorie deficient. But it's that constant confusion. Is it sugar? Is it not? Like, I don't know how to handle it. And sometimes the weight loss stalls because confusion is what's getting in the way.
Another thing as well, as I've read things before, is that people will look at it as a get out of jail free card. So they'll go to a restaurant and they'll have a diet. I have no idea where that came from. Still birthday euphoria, I think.
Yeah, it is.
They'll go to a restaurant and they will order a diet drink of some description, which kind of means, because I'm on a 0-calorie diet drink, then I can have extra of this, this, and this. So sometimes, again, people from a mental point of view, maybe not consciously, but they'll maybe supersize or order something a little extra just because, I'm having the diet drink, so I'm not having as many calories as what I thought they would. So it's not necessarily just from that point of what the body's doing. Sometimes mentally we can kind of trick ourselves as well, maybe knowing or unknowingly.
See, it's confusion.
I know.
Total confusion.
I was unconfused about this till we started. Serious.
And we always bang on about the importance of gut health. And I should tag Dr. Ruscio in more of our podcasts.
He should start paying us.
I know he should, actually. I will tag him and say, hey, can I have some commission out of this? Because you've only got to go and look at Dr. Ruscio's website, and he is the FODMAP expert and gut health expert, and he's just brought, FODMAPs,
Karen, what does that stand for?
We've done this before.
We've played this game before.
Yeah, we have, because you just know that I can't pronounce the fructo oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Yeah, because polyols is what I'm going to talk about as well.
Oh, good old poly.
And one of the things with Dr. Ruscio and the FODMAP diet is that it's primarily focused around reducing the safe and caution and avoid sugars from the diet, and anything ending in ol should be avoided, and polyols being one of them. And one of the artificial sweeteners that a lot of people go to is this one called xylitol. And xylitol is actually, you do some research online, and xylitol has actually been promoted as, it's great for tooth health, and it reduces the incidence of cavities in the body. So people go, oh, great. Again, another one of those get out of jail free cards where, if I use xylitol, I'm going to improve my tooth health and not get cavities. Well, The only thing where xylitol is beneficial is that it actually increases saliva production as a result of ingesting it. So the higher the saliva secretion, then the less incidence there are of cavities producing, because to prevent cavity production, we need a lot of like saliva production. So at the end of the day, I'm still on the fence with regard to these like claims, and xylitol is touted as like a dentist's best friend, but there again, like maybe not, because if you're not getting cavities, your dentist actually isn't going to make any money, is he?
True. Just cutting back on sugar anyway, you'll be your dentist's best friend. I mean, it doesn't really...
And the thing with polyols, like things like if it's got mannitol, sorbitol, xylitol in it, you will actually see in especially things like sugar-free gums that it'll say can have a laxative effect on the body and produce diarrhea if you actually have too much of it. And it can induce things like gas, bloating and cramping, and develop IBS symptoms. And the reason being is that these like poor absorption of these like polyols actually in the lower intestine. So you want to actually kind of avoid them. And going back to the FODMAP aspect of gut health, one of the things with artificial sweeteners, and there's an Israeli study that I was...
Not them guys again.
Yeah, the Israelis, like, they get everywhere, don't they? The Israeli study shows where artificial sweeteners can actually affect your gut health and the gut microbiome. And this is where I actually have to get my pronunciation right. So it can actually affect the firmicutes and the bacteroidetes in the gut.
Wow. Did not see that coming.
No, we'll have to like spell that one for you. So these microbiomes can actually be increased as a result of ingesting artificial sweeteners. And overweight people actually do have a higher level of firmicutes in the gut. And what these firmicutes actually do is they actually extract more calories from the foods that you're eating. And so overweight people with a higher level of firmicutes actually extract more calories from the foods that are ingested than people that are not overweight. And so using artificial sweeteners when you're overweight is kind of a double whammy in the wrong direction, because one, you're going to have more firmicutes in your gut anyway, but also using artificial sweeteners as a way to try and reduce calories and maybe lose some weight is going to have like that second double effect, because it's going to increase those firmicutes and those bacteroidetes. See, I said it. Like,
what a girl.
Yeah, I actually said
that just
it properly.
Makes perfect.
Yeah. And the thing with having these bacteria that are going to negatively impact your gut health and extracting more calories from your food, obviously like using artificial sweeteners isn't going to help you lose weight. But overweight people who have like an elevated level of firmicutes actually do have more muscle, but these muscle fibers are actually denatured, and they'll actually, and overweight people will actually lose muscle protein before they actually lose body fat. So it's just something to consider. So it's more a case of eating whole foods and, you know, going low carb and reducing some of the sugars out of the diet, and not relying on those artificial sweeteners that are actually going to cause an imbalance in those like gut microbiome.
And again, that's one thing. Your palate is like your biceps, like your leg muscle. It can be trained. So what you're trying to do really at the end of the day is we need to get away from sugar and to kind of get it out of your diet. You need to train yourself away from it. So it's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable to start with. And I mean, I've had clients and they have like three sugars in their hot drinks, and you kind of cut them down to 2 and cut them down to 1, or you get them to pull the Band-Aid off and just cut it out. And it tastes awful to start with. But again, you get used to it and your palate will change. Your taste buds will change, and things that are sweet now in 6 months' time, if you cut them right down, whether it's incrementally or whether it's straight away, they will taste completely different in 6 months' time. So again, people often have sweetened drinks and things. Oh, because I like it, I can't drink it else. Well, you know, it's one of those things. If you're replacing sugar with something else that's sweet, you're never going to train yourself away from it. So the chances of you relapsing maybe down the road and then going back to sugar again, if you have a bad day or whatever, or somebody offers it to you, you may just go back down that road. So again, trying to train yourself away from sugar and not having these sugar replacements, in my mind, is probably just the way to go to get away from it.
And you did that with chocolate. Not that we have would ever have a lot of chocolate in the house, but you did that with yourself with that like disgusting 85% chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, I used to eat milk chocolate, not a lot of it, but again, believe it or not, the milk chocolate in the UK tastes different to milk chocolate in Canada. Ooh. Again, different taste buds for different countries. But I mean, yeah, I used to have it here, and then I went on to like 50% dark chocolate, and then 60%, and then 70%, and now I have 85% dark chocolate. There's a slight sweetness to it, which I like sometimes after supper. But again, it's one of those things that you can't eat a lot of because, again, it does get a little bit bitter. But at the end of the day, it kind of replaces something that I like to do with a better habit, and plus also the antioxidants and everything in dark chocolate. And to be honest, Karen, if when we go grocery shopping, one bar of chocolate lasts me a whole week. And I mean, I have a couple of squares every night, just as an after supper thing, or just something, again, just I like, not every night, but it's one of those things. But again, it took me a while to train myself because of that bitterness of dark chocolate. I mean, as a kid, my mum always used to eat dark chocolate. I used to hate it, but now I can't really eat regular chocolate because I just find it too sweet and sickly.
I just that
you just stay away from it. Sorry.
Yeah, that 85% chocolate, yeah, I don't know. You can eat that stuff.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is aspartame still classed as safe in the US? I don't know, because is it banned here, or no, it's just it's just really evil stuff. And the thing, and a lot of people use products that have got aspartame in it to sweet it, but aspartame actually breaks down into 2 amino acids when you ingest it, and it also breaks down into methanol, and methanol's actually a wood alcohol, and it's a known poison. So why would you actually want it, even in the most tiniest amounts? And it's always that grass reference, generally regarded as safe. Oh, because the ingestion amount is so small. Yeah, it's kind of generally regarded as safe. But seriously, would you like even just a teeny bit of cyanide in your meal?
Well, aspartame is one of those things I never got on with. I mean, years ago, we'd go down the bar or something, and I would be the DD, designated driver. I'd have a couple of 3 or 4 Diet Cokes maybe, because you have one with when people are buying rounds of alcohol. And in the morning after, I would wake up with a headache. I'd feel like I'd been drinking. I'd feel really awful. And I just put it down to the aspartame in the drinks, because, I mean, that was the only thing I'd had differently to what I would normally have. And for me, aspartame, yeah, A, I can taste it in drinks. And B, yeah, it just gives me the after effects were just nasty.
And one of the amino acids that aspartame breaks down to is phenylalanine.
Was that the scratch mix then?
You see, I always pick topics where I can't pronounce half of the words. That's why we have show notes, because then you could always write them in there.
Thank you.
But phenylalanine, yeah, that blocks the production of serotonin, and serotonin is actually instrumental in controlling things like food cravings. So aspartame, again, is that negative double whammy, because you're having an artificial sweetener so that you actually have something sweet because you have those sweet cravings, but it's actually stopping the production of serotonin that's instrumental in preventing those food cravings in the first place. So it's just, and again, reducing serotonin levels in the body can lead to mood swings and obviously develop into mental health issues and depression. And like I say, I know that we've covered this before and it's something that I mention frequently, and I just mentioned it about 15 minutes ago, but people just don't realize just how much of an impact like a lot of our food has on our mental health and well-being. And a lot of people also use stevia. I don't get on with that at all. It always has that really nasty aftertaste and like...
Yeah, similar to aspartame. It's just always that aftertaste. And it's never normally when you're consuming whatever's got it in. It's normally that afterwards. It's kind of, what is that? You know, it's some people love it. Again, it's each to their own.
And then people say, oh, I'm using stevia because it's natural. And what's your favourite response to that?
So is plutonium and mercury. They're both natural.
Yeah, well, you
don't add them to your cake.
Yeah, you actually wouldn't have any of those in like small amounts.
You wouldn't last very long.
Either. Yeah. And when you're actually having those artificial sweeteners, going back to the beginning of like when we started talking on this podcast, you're confusing the body. You're actually confusing it to the point where you're not actually putting any nutrients in. And so you're starving the body to cellular level, like even more drastically. And although we said that sugar does not have, well, it has zero nutritional like content, but things like honey are a prebiotic and there are minerals and micronutrients in things like honey. But surprisingly enough, honey actually is an avoid sugar on the FODMAP list, whereas maple syrup is classed as like okay and proceed with caution. But using artificial sweeteners, again, you're depleting the body from a cellular level, so your body thinks you're starving, and then you're going to crave more sugars in the long run. So again, it's just like that vicious cycle and that roundabout that you can't get off. And
a bit like Hyde Park Corner.
Hey, Hyde Park Corner's easy to get round. There's only about 6 lanes.
Who's getting off it?
On a roundabout. Hey, we're English. We can navigate things like that. Anybody listening who doesn't live in Winnipeg, you should see the entertainment value of people going round a roundabout here.
Can't buy that.
We should sit there and like video it. So again, artificial sweeteners, I mean, it's a bit of a giveaway. It's artificial. It's not real. And obviously you need your doctor's permission to actually ingest some of them.
True.
So yeah, don't confuse the body, because it really will confuse all the physiological processes in the process.
So yeah, I think really the kind of the main takeaway from this is like Karen says, basically, if you can get away with it, just again you tend to use coconut palm sugar. Again, not a lot of it, just enough if you need to sweeten something like baking or something, use that rather than using artificial sweeteners. And again, if you can train your taste buds away from it, then all well and good, we think, because again, it's something that's not a natural thing for the body.
And like I said, although honey is on the avoid sugars when it comes to FODMAPs, I mean, if you don't have any gut health issues and you don't seem to have any problems with gut health, then small amounts of sugar in the form of honey to sweeten things can be beneficial from that micronutrient and mineral perspective. So again, it's, trial and error.
Yeah, so, we'll wrap that one up. I think, we've kind of covered all the bases. And again, there are some technical terms in there. And if Karen wants me to throw some of the names in the show notes...
Because I can't pronounce them.
You can Google them yourself, or I'll do links to Wikipedia or something so you can have a little look. On next time's podcast, I was chatting with a client of mine last week. He actually does a podcast of his own, completely different subject. And we were just talking about podcasting and stuff. And he says... an interesting subject for your podcast would be kind of helping people not get to the age of like 75 and sitting in a wheelchair in a corner peeing themselves. So what could we do to kind of stave that off and be healthier through the twilight years of our life? And what can we kind of do in your 30s, 40s, 50s to kind of stave that off? So that's what it's going to be. See you next time.
That's all we have time for right now, but we do hope that you join us for our next show. And if you want to contribute to an upcoming show by suggesting a topic that you would like us to discuss in more detail, then hop over to our website, healthyhalfhourpodcast.com, subscribe to our podcast and submit your suggestions. The Healthy Half Hour Podcast was brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, and don't forget to share our details with your friends and review our show. Until next time, thanks for listening.